guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to the 7th episode, I believe, of the Caleb Knits podcast. My name is Caleb, and I'm so glad you're here.
My name is Bonnie. You can also just call me Mom, and I'm awfully glad to be here today.
All right, so starting off the podcast, just fair warning, sometimes our language gets a little colorful. While we always try...
His more than mine.
While we always try to say things that are kind, we don't always say things that would be sanctioned or said to be okay by the Federal Communications.
The mailman just drove by. He's waiting for more yarn.
You think so? I wonder what it could be. I wonder if I'm getting yarn today. I have several shipments of stuff that could be coming today.
Anyway. I just heard the mailman. Didn't heard the box.
All's that to say, we're glad you're here. If you're looking for us on social media, you can find me as Caleb9513 on Instagram and Twitter. Both of those accounts are private at the moment, but feel free to request and follow me, and we'll accept that friend request. On Ravelry, you can find me as Caleb Jeffrey 13.
And you can find me on Instagram as Austin Bonnie 1. I remembered.
You remembered.
And Twitter, Bonnie Austin 18. Austin Bonnie 18.
Nope. First one was right.
Bonnie Austin 18.
Very good. So that's where you can find us. So structure of the episode, we always start with finished objects. Then we move into works in progress, and we then talk about any yarn that we've acquired or any materials we've acquired, and then we talk about what we're watching, reading, or listening to, and lastly, we talk about whatever we want to talk about. So, you ready to get started?
I am ready. Let's do some finished projects.
I'm a little curious to look in the mailbox.
Should I go find out?
I'll go find out.
No, you have a finished product to show?
I have a half-finished object.
Start your half-finished object. I'll check it.
Sorry for that little interlude. Mom went and checked the mail, and...
No yarn.
No yarn. Wah wah. That's okay. So, anyway, do you have any finished objects?
I do not. I've got a couple of in progress, but nothing finished right now.
All right, well, I don't have any finished objects, but I do have a half-finished object. So that'll be like our interlude between finished objects and works in progress. So if you recall, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about something in Dodge City called Project Dinner, which is an initiative to feed people in Dodge City. So I was thinking, not to focus on COVID too much at the beginning, but our county has become one of the hot spots statistically in the country, especially in the state, just based off of per capita cases. Our percentage is very high. So anyway, so I wanted to be able to contribute to Project Dinner, but I wasn't so sure that handing out meals was something that I was interested in doing any longer. So I held an auction on Facebook for hand knit socks. And if you're a sock knitter or a former voracious sock knitter like I am, and still enjoy knitting socks, I would highly recommend doing something like this because it's really cool. But anyway, I auctioned off 4 skeins of yarn and said, whoever wins the auction, I'll knit you a pair of socks, or I'll send you a skein of yarn, whatever you want to do. And I was able to raise $200. Yay! So now I am knitting socks, and I have 1 sock complete. So, oh, there they are. Sorry, distracted. This is
1 sock complete, 7 more to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't that sound like fun? But anyway, this is the first sock of a pair for my friend Bridget, who so graciously won 2 pairs from me. And this skein was Woolen Boon on her sock base. It's a 75-25, and I think it was called Absolutely Nothing Gold or No Gold Allowed or something like that. But it's a really pretty goldy green with these amazing speckles. And this is the first time I've knit socks with Woolen Boon. And I have another skein for myself that I'm very excited to work with. So first sock done. I did my traditional, this is my actual vanilla sock. I think last time I talked about socks, I said vanilla socks for me are different than vanilla socks, but this is just a vanilla sock where I did 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. I cast on a number divisible by 4 so that you can accommodate the 2x2 ribbing. Knit 15 rounds. This is a 60 round leg, followed by a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I can do this literally in about 20 minutes. So
The whole sock?
No, the heel.
I was gonna say.
The heel in about 20 minutes. So that is definitely the heel that I'm choosing to do if I've commissioned something or someone has commissioned me to do something. And then Miss Bridget is a 8.5 in women's, so I did 70 rows plus a 3-2-1 toe. A 3-2-1 toe, like I described last week or last time, is decrease in 4 places evenly around the sock, knit 3 rounds, decrease again, knit 2 rounds, decrease again, knit 2 rounds, decrease again, knit around, decrease, knit around, decrease, knit around, and then decrease until you have, I think this one was 12 stitches to Kitchener. So there is that. Very exciting. And it's really soft. Like, this is a nice sock base.
It is. I could wear, sometimes his socks, sometimes the yarn that he uses to me is really itchy and I don't like it, but this is super soft. I like it a lot.
I prefer for myself to wear like a Regia or an Opal, or I actually love Patton's Croy. That's my sock yarn of choice for myself, and she doesn't really care for that. So, but anyway, half finished object.
Very good.
Very excited. I wonder, can I just hang this on the tripod?
You can. And we can look at it.
Yep. All right, Miss Bonnie, you got some whips.
I do. I'm gonna start, I don't know if you remember, but last time I surprised Caleb and said,
I'm gonna order a set of double pointed needles.
I'm gonna order double pointed needles and I'm going to knit a sock.
And I shit my pants.
So, number one, maybe this comes later, but look what came. Okay, absolutely I love my Chiagoo adjustables, interchangeable circulars. So I bought a set of double points. I'm so excited. So what I did was I jumped on and sure enough, started a sock. Caleb also shared this with me. I don't know, what do we call those?
I call them a needle keeper. I have one as well. I'm not using it right now. Whoa! Fell out of my chair. Hello! I'm not using it right now because I don't have a sock on the needles. I haven't cast on the second one, but they're just these sleeves that you can pop your needles in. And I purchased them at House of Yarn in Nashville, Tennessee when I was there for SSK. And it's by Quo Knits. And like I said, I got that at House of Yarn. But they're really nice because they keep your needles
from falling on the floor like mine just did. Anyway, so here's the beginnings of my sock. And I am using the Vanilla Latte pattern and also did 15 rows of cuff, but I did the 3-in-1 cuff.
3x1 ribbing.
3x1 ribbing. And the leg here is 6 rows and then a garter, 2 stitches of a garter row in between. So I'm doing okay. I'm still working on my tension. I can tell late at night my tension is looser than it is first thing in the morning, but it's coming. And this yarn is amazingly cool. It is from Desert Vista Dye Works. And what's the colorway there?
Inuit Art.
Inuit Art. I also picked this out at SSK last year. Many of you know, I think we've talked about it before, Caleb went to SSK in Nashville, and I tagged along to be a tourist for Nashville, and went to the marketplace and got to spend an afternoon with them, and absolutely loved it and had a great time. So that's where I picked this up.
It's very nice. Now you're knitting these on 1.5s, correct?
I am.
And I will say, I think you can consider yourself maybe a loose knitter. I think this is a great tension, or a great, like your tension's really, really even. I'm just a little concerned that the socks won't wear they won't be super durable because
they're not so
dense. I think they'll be amazing though. And
what about, okay, so the durable part of a sock really needs to be the foot.
yeah.
What if I would change needle sizes when I got to the foot?
You could do that. You would just have to think about like your gauge. I wouldn't worry about it for this pair of socks. They're gonna fit. They're gonna be nice.
They're not gonna be tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't like your socks super tight anyway, do you? That's the second fucking needle. Okay. Sorry for this sudden editing cut. We're now about 20 minutes later. I'll tell you why here in a little bit. Okay, so.
We're still on works in progress.
Still on works in progress. All right, and living in my new Fat Squirrel bag. Because duh, do I own any other bags?
Yes.
Yes. Do I use them as often? No. This is a new Amy Beth bag. It's her Erin size sweater bag. And I got it for one national park poster. Actually, I just love the aesthetic, but this one is my favorite. The Yellowstone poster. Because it has buffalo. It has a buffalo, multiple buffalo, or bison. And there's another herd there as well. But I love national parks. Actually, I was planning on, when I drive to Nashville this summer, stopping in national parks, but we'll see how that all pans out. If national parks will be open, other things considering. But anyway, living in this bag is my Radmere cardigan, knit out of Brooklyn tweed shelter in the wood smoke colorway. And last week, yeah, there's the yarn. Last time I had just cast this on and was starting through the cables. And now I'm about halfway up the sleeve, a little over halfway up the sleeve. So, this is a cabled cardigan, and I cast this on because my brain needed something to do while I was at home and needed something to like focus on that wasn't the world. So, cables it is. This is a sleeve that I'm using as a swatch, so we'll see how this goes. But I'm knitting it on ChiaoGoo interchangeable size 8s, and yeah, I'm loving the pattern. As I mentioned last week, I know my face was kind of itchy. I kind of did some pattern surgery, moved some charts around, and made copies for myself just so that all the charts were in the right places, because you have a directional chart this way, a directional chart this way, and then the center chart. And these directional charts were on the same page, but this center chart, because it's used somewhere else in the pattern, was not on the sleeve page. So I just butchered the pattern a little. I'm trying to get you to see that. But with taking the risk of sounding pompous, this really is not that hard. It takes concentration, but cabling is easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I do use a cable needle. These are the Brittany cable needles that I use. They're okay. I think I might need to find a thinner one, that's just a bit thinner. But I like having just like the straight to work off of. The only cabling that this is ever 2/2. Sometimes it's 3/1. So yeah. And like I said, I'm about halfway up the sleeve if I put it on. I'm just past my elbow, thereabouts. So I'm almost finished working the increases that are written in the pattern. And I don't know that I've mentioned this before, but this pattern does not come in my size. So I'm doing some modifications to accommodate for that. And what I think I'm going to end up doing is knitting all the pattern pieces to the largest size, because it's the back, 2 fronts. But then what I'm going to do is knit panels for in between the fronts and the back. That can just be inserted. That's a trick from tailoring. If you're ever trying to size something up and you can't let anything out anymore, you insert panels. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then to account for down here, because if you think about it, that
here's your panel.
Yeah, that panel is gonna be right there, which means if I only knit the increases on this as the pattern would go, that means that from where Bonnie's hand is won't be covered by the sleeve when I go to sew it in. So what I'm gonna do is just do some rapid increasing before I do the shoulder cap. And to do that, what I'll do is I'll figure out or how many increases I need. I'll look at my very small sample of stockinette on the back and say, okay, I need, let's see, I'm thinking of adding 5 or 6 inches in between is what I need. I might add more, it'll probably be 8. So if I need 4 inches on each side, then I would say so that's like 5, that's probably 1.5 inches, right? So 3 would be 10. So I'll probably end up increasing 15 stitches on either side, and it'll look kind of weird to accommodate.
But all of that is going to be under here.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying the piece will look weird. It's not
Right.
going to be the jacket that looks weird.
Right.
Wow, that was very forceful and pointed. I'm so sorry for saying it that way. Anyway, Radmere Cardigan by Michelle Wong.
You know, you can tell that we're a mother-son, and that we banter back and forth just kind of as a funny. A friend of ours, after she watched the last podcast, said, "Hey, I have a new idea for a drinking game." And we're like, "Whoa, what would that be?" She said, "Watch the podcast. Every time Caleb rolls his eyes at you, take a drink."
Drink.
Just got one.
Yeah. Her mother-son, who have spent quite a bit of time together. But that's okay.
This quarantine.
That's okay. So yeah, Radmere Cardigan. It's moving a lot faster than I thought it would. I think after this sleeve is finished, I'm gonna knit the other sleeve because I fucking hate sleeves and I just want to get them done while I still have the energy to do them. And then I'll move on to the fronts because those are small as well. And then I'll do the back. And the fronts will tell me a little bit more about depth of the set-in sleeve. So
very good. Get rid of
love that. Thanks. All right, I'm gonna let you do your next whip.
All right. I'm excited to show you. Last time we were together.
Do you have what you had last time?
I do not.
Okay. For those of you who weren't here last time, which was 2 weeks ago, Bonnie showed us what?
I showed you the swatch for my City Limits sweater fade.
Yeah, and that's a pattern by Tanis Lavallee. And then look at what this bitch has.
Hey.
Look at what this very nice lady has to show us.
I have a
this time.
sweater. Ta-da. Not finished. I still have 3 color sections to finish on the bottom. What I've been doing in the fade is I'm doing I'm holding double because it's a fingering weight. So I'm doing 2 of this color, Then I'm doing a blend of color 1 and color 2. Then I do 2 of color 2 and a blend of 2 and 3. 2 of color 3, a blend of 3 and 4. 2 of color 4, a blend of 4 and 5. And now I'm on 2 of color 5 is where I'm at right now. No, no, that was
You're on
5.
2 of color 6.
I'm 2 of color 6. So a blend of 5 and 6 and 2 of color 6. And I've got 7 colors altogether. So
all held with a luscious mohair.
yeah, and in my swatch, I didn't use the mohair just because I was a little concerned that I'd have enough mohair to finish it. And I love it with the mohair. Because what I was really kind of concerned about is like this stripe here in my swatch, it was just,
Pretty solid.
it was solid, yeah. And I thought, oh, I don't really want just a stripe. Same thing with this very last color that I'm working with right now. It's a pretty solid color with a little bit of speckle, and I know there's a special name for that.
Are you talking about the Stellina?
Yes, Stellina.
So it's sparkle, not speckle.
Oh, sparkle, not speckle, sorry. But I was a little concerned that this was going to be pretty stripy because of its solid nature, but the mohair worked through it, has just really taken care of that, and I love that fact. So I still have to work with my sleeves once I finish. My goal is to finish the bottom here in the next couple, 3 days. And then I need to go on my sleeves. Little bit of concern in that I don't have a whole lot of yarn left. 3 of my colors that I've completed, I'm down to like, that's 7 grams left. So I'm not gonna be able to do much with that. These 2 are a little bit more yardage, but I think this one was 17 grams left. So what I plan on doing is taking these and dividing it into 2 even balls into each of these, and then I'll know exactly what I have for the sleeve, and I'll do as much of that color in the sleeve as I have, and when I'm done, I'm done, and we'll see where the sleeve takes us.
Mm-hmm. So part of that is, well, the reason that this is happening. Like those 2 that you had, I think you'll be fine. But part of the reason that this is happening is because when you calculated percentages for your stripes, it wasn't as taken into account the amount of yardage each skein had.
I just counted it as, I knew I'd have 13 different color stripes, color combinations. And so I just divided the length of the body of my sweater by 13 and figured out with my row gauge what that would be. But yeah, some of my skeins had more yardage than others. So, and then my first color and my last color
are gone.
No, they're actually what I have left because I didn't have anything to share it with at the top. So my first round was 2 held together, and my last round will be 2 held together. So I know I'm gonna have color 1 and color 7 left. So I figure if I need to finish out the sleeve, I'll just make more of color 7.
Ooh, yeah.
At the end.
And then you could do like your cuffs if you wanted to in color 1.
In color 1.
Because you're gonna do the I-cord up here in that color.
So I could do a little cuff and an I-cord bind off with the 1.
I don't think you're gonna, if you do the I-cord, I think the pattern gives you an option of just an I-cord instead of like a cuff,
Right.
like a ribbed cuff.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, so you could do that. If you're
So we'll
into
see. We'll just see how much yarn I have left and take it as it goes. And that's one thing that's been nice. Caleb has taught me to be flexible with your knitting. I think too often we get so tied to what the pattern says that, you know, we panic and say, oh, I need to buy more yarn. No, I don't. I'll make it work.
So I think I'm gonna panic and buy more yarn for mine. I'll talk about it here in a second. But anyway, I'm very proud of you.
City Limits by Tanis, my very first sweater, and I'm pretty excited.
This is what, 3 weeks of progress?
And I actually last night finally put an additional cord, is that what they call them, cords in the bottom so that I could try it on, and that was cool. So now I'm very motivated to get it finished.
Yes.
The body especially.
Very good. It looks nice.
Thank you.
And the yarn is a combination of purpley steelies. The that were purchased at Yarn Social in Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Shout out Trish.
And here's my mohair. This is the mohair I've left.
Talk about mohair.
Talk about mohair. You know, the reason I went with mohair was because on Tanis's podcast that she was talking about this sweater and why she used the mohair was exactly what I was talking about, to tie all the colors together and make it a nice, easy, gradual fade. And I've never used mohair before, so this was a little bit of a challenge for me, but it was easier than I had anticipated. Caleb was really worried that I would think that mohair was really scratchy. And like when I do this and I have solid mohair, yeah, that is kind of scratchy, but not when it's worked in with some beautiful yarns that I have. So I'm excited.
Oh, very good. I've made an error of judgment. Okay, so now we're going to talk about my last whip, which you might have seen me prepare here. Thank you, Mom. But I'm going to show you. So I'm also knitting a City Limit sweater by Tanis. And
our friend Amy is also, all three of us are kind of doing this knitting together.
Yeah.
And she just got hers started this week. So
So anyway, I'm going to show you my colors. I'm going to hold up the mohair. So this is my fade. Okay. And this is actually it is a rose cardigan set from Goosey Fibers. Goosey Fibers, I think, is my favorite hand dyer at the moment because look at it. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. This is actually a sport weight yarn that I'm holding double. Loving it. And these all have colorways, but if you go onto our website and look up the aquamarine or marine fade set through her rose cardigan kits, you should be able to find it. So that's that. And I have swatched. So this is my swatch for my City Limits sweater. This is the knit side. This is the purl side. And do you remember how I described this, Bonnie, this swatch?
it was embarrassing. I'm his mother.
Are you gonna tell them or you want me to? I said that this is a hashtag sexual swatch. So let's get that started on Instagram. Hashtag sexual swatching. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And so this is on an 8, not millimeter, 8, US 8, 5 millimeter needle. Holding sport weight double with a mohair. And it's a good fabric. I actually like it. But I think for this sweater, I want a little bit more drape and a little bit more flexibility. So I'm gonna move up to a 9. And actually, if I were to get gauge for this sweater, so gauge is 16 stitches per 4 inches. And this is 17 stitches per 4 inches. So I'm actually big. I'm getting more stitches than I need on the recommended needle size. So if I were to follow gauge, I would go down to maybe a 7, see what I get swatching at a 7, but that would make an even denser fabric than this, just because the stitches are closer together. So I'm going to guess that if I go up to a 9, I'm gonna get 17.5, maybe 18 stitches per inch. And then I haven't really looked at the pattern, but then look at what size.
Okay, don't you go backwards on that? How many do you get per inch now?
I would get 16.5 or 6, no.
How many are you getting now?
17.
So yeah, you're gonna be getting a little bit less stitches per inch, fewer stitches per inch.
And yeah, okay, so I said that incorrectly. Gauge for the pattern is 18 stitches.
Okay.
Right?
Like that sounds right.
It has to be right because I've already figured this out. 18 stitches per inch that would be really dense. 18 stitches per 4 inches. So if I go down, I'm going to get 16 and a half or 16. So what I need to look at is cast on numbers for different sizes and see what kind of
Sorry.
Anybody important?
Nope. Nobody's more important than you right now, Caleb Jeffrey.
So anyway, I'm gonna look at stitch counts. I still think I'm going to knit the biggest size because the biggest size is 68 inches in circumference, and I'm at about 66. So that would leave about 2 inches of positive ease, but if I make it a little bit bigger, then it'll be nice. So anyway, but that being said, since this was a rose cardigan set, there are different color, I want to say color qualifications, but the pattern for the rose cardigan calls for a different yarn amount of different colors. So the way that the kit came, I have 2 of this, 2 of this, 4 of this, and 3 of this. So what I think I'm going to do is order 1 more skein of this, the darkest color, so that I have even on the top and even on the bottom. And then I have 4 skeins of mohair, but I'm just gonna order another skein just to
be safe. That way when he decides on his colors, the 2 lighter colors will do the 2/3, or excuse me, will do 1/3 of the length, and the 2 darker colors will do 2/3 of the length. So you can figure it that way. And this is so cool, guys. I'm a math teacher. In my former life, I was a math teacher, and I absolutely love the fact that we're using math all the time when we're knitting. I love it, love it, love it. So do you, right?
Yeah, it is actually really useful. But it's like, shut the fuck up. We get it. You're a math teacher.
Okay, I'll roll my eyes at you.
So anyway, and that's living in, take a guess, Amy Beth Fat Squirrel bag.
I forgot to show my bag because mine's not an Amy Beth bag.
Is it new?
I don't think I've shown it before.
Oh yeah, that's what I got you for your
This is
birthday.
my Mrs. Brown's bag.
Yep, it is her bucket tote.
Bucket. And that it's the Grocery Girls, right?
Yep, Jody of the Grocery Girls, Mrs. Brown's bags.
Caleb has gotten me hooked on starting to watch some podcasts, and that's one of them that I watch pretty regularly.
Do you remember what you said when I started watching podcasts and telling you about them and saying and describing to you what they were?
I said, Kim, that's kind of weird.
It's not what she said. She said, that's really fucking weird.
I did not.
That is what she said.
Okay, so I'm weird.
Yeah. Who else are you watching?
Amy Beth.
Duh.
And the Grocery Girls. Those are my 2 main ones. And a little bit of Chrissy.
Christy Glass.
Christy Glass.
Christy Glass Knits.
Yeah.
If you have podcast suggestions for my mother.
Yeah, really.
We were watching a podcast that I like to watch last night because it's a bit more, it's just different. And I could get the sense that Mom was like, okay, we get it. We get it.
Well, she talked about that one shawl for 20 minutes. Okay. It was pretty.
We talked about whips for 20 minutes.
Okay.
So,
But that was 4 things.
whatever. All right. So that goes into acquisitions. That yarn was an acquisition. It came in the mail.
My double point needles were an acquisition this week.
And we're going to go to your house later and probably shop the Maryland Sheep and Wool virtual shop.
Well, because I need some sock hangers. If I'm going to start making socks, I need sock hangers.
I don't know where to find those. We'll have to look. I mean, I'm sure there's a place.
Some shop will have them.
Yeah, I'm not knitting a whole lot of socks, but I think I need another set as well. So, anyway.
You need more stuff.
Yeah,
That kind of leads into something, doesn't it?
that we'll talk about later.
Okay. Never mind.
Well, anyway, it's not a secret. But anyway, next, what are we watching, reading, and listening to?
Well, I've during this time gotten into some of the Netflix series, and one of the shows that people have often talked about to me and I just never started watching was Downton Abbey. And
literally everyone on this planet has watched
I know.
Downton Abbey.
Well, we are in the middle of season 3 now. My husband and I are both watching it, and yeah, we get at least 3 or 4 episodes a day. So we're working through that pretty fast, and I'm loving it. It's good stuff.
That's how you have a sweater almost finished.
That's why I have a sweater almost finished, exactly.
Yeah. And you finished a book recently.
I did. I finished the audiobook on Red, White, and I can't even remember titles. Red, White, and Blue Together? No.
It has something to do with one of the main characters and his family.
Oh, Red, White, and Blue Royal. Red, blue, red, white. It's got red, white, and blue in it, and it's got a royal in it.
Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Red, White, and Royal Blue.
By Casey McQuiston, which was my favorite book of last year. Still one of the top 5 favorite books that I've read ever. What did you say?
Well, I enjoyed it. It was good.
That's not what you said. You said it was okay.
It was okay. It was okay. I'm just a little bit old and a little conservative, so you know some of the making out scenes got a little bit graphic for me.
It's not your demographic.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, that's considered a new adult book, and
Be nice. I'm not a new adult.
So,
and I started listening to a new one. Started my new audiobook,
which was
Something Little Fires.
Where Are the Little Fires?
Little Fires Burning. I don't know. It's got little fires in it.
Are the little fires here, there, or
Little Fires Everywhere.
Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng?
Give me some context clues. I'll figure it out.
So I just finished Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. And I think it has dethroned my previous favorite book of all time for my new favorite book of all time. But before, I guess I should say, before it does that, I'm going to have to read it again, which I'm sure will happen sooner than later. But it is a very, very, very good book, I think. The first third of it is a bit it's world building and info dumpy, but then you get into the meat of the book in the last 2/3 of it, and it's like, it's a good book.
Okay.
It has a good, it was the first book that I've read in a while that I stopped and thought about what the author was saying rather than being passively reading and being entertained, which is something that I've been trying to do more of with books. But when you're reading like smutty romance, sometimes when the author says one thing, it literally means that. If I were by myself, I'd make a joke, but I'm with my mom. So anyway, very, very good. But then I watched the mini series on Hulu that was just produced and released, and that was also really, really good.
Good.
And it diverges a bit from the book a little bit, but it also, it's easy for me to say the show is obviously separate from the book. It's kind of like how there's the Harry Potter movies and the Harry Potter books. You can tell that the source material was used, and then the movies or the miniseries was done very well and stayed very true to the source material, with the exception of a few things that just made more sense for TV.
I'm anxious to watch the miniseries.
Yeah.
But I've got to finish the book first.
Yeah. Have you got to any drama in the book yet?
Nothing major yet, no.
Yeah.
I'm still in the background building stage.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that book. If you haven't read it, you should definitely go and get a copy. I read it on my Kindle, and then I ordered a hardback copy for myself, and then I bought a paperback copy for each of my grandmothers. So, Celestine, you're welcome. Have I been watching anything else? Oh, yes. I started, so you know how I said I'm bad with series, and because I'm like, okay, let's get to the end here. Well, there are some exceptions, and one of the exceptions for me is Scrubs. I don't think I've told you about this.
Mm-mm.
Do you know Scrubs?
I know a little. I've watched it a little bit, not much.
Okay, and you've watched it because I watched it
Probably.
when I was at home. It was always on the CW or WGN. It was always on WGN at like 10 o'clock when I would go to bed, and I'd set my sleep timer for 15 minutes and then turn my TV back on to watch the last part of Scrubs and then go to sleep. But it's a really, really good show made in the early 2000s about doctors in a hospital. They start out the series as interns, and by the end of the series, they're residents and senior staff at their hospitals. And but the reason that I'm rewatching it is because, one, it's funny as hell, and two, Zach Braff and Donald Faison, who are JD and Turk, are two of the main characters in the show, have a podcast now where they are rewatching the show.
Oh, really?
To kind of fill up some time that they now have. And each week they watch an episode and reflect on it, and kind of talk about it. Yeah. So they have 2 episodes out right now. They have the one for the pilot and the first episode after it was picked up. So the second episode of the show, but you know what I mean, out already. And I'm not sure when that comes out, but it's called, if you just look up Scrubs Rewatch on podcasts, on your iPhone, you should be able to find it. It's through iHeartRadio, so it's on multiple platforms, but it's very, very good. And my background is in fine arts and music and theater and that kind of thing, or my interests more are in music and theater. My background is more in music. So I have lots of musical theater friends and lots of actor friends, and listening to Donald and Zach talk about like their motives and character developments and things that we're just kind of like, oh, they're just actors, but there's quite a bit that goes into that as an actor, and so it reminds me of my friends and reminds me of those conversations that they have about different things, and it's just really fun. I'm on like episode 15 of 24 of season 1. So
You're gonna be at it for a while.
yeah, there are 9 seasons.
Yeah.
But some people don't count the 9th season because that's when it moved from ABC to NBC, and they recast everybody. And
Really?
yeah, it's not very good.
Okay.
That was its last season because it fucking sucked. Actually, I think it moved from NBC to ABC. I don't know. All I know is that the musical episode is in season 6, so we gotta watch till at least then. So, anyway, what else have you been listening, reading, or watching?
That's about it. Other than I've been watching your upper lip move right now as you've been talking. It's about time to trim that mustache.
I've noticed. I've been thinking about it, but I've had to keep the bathroom clean, and do you know how hard it is to trim your mustache or shave in general?
Okay.
When you have to keep the bathroom
Onward.
clean. Okay. So, are you going to ask me why I have to keep my bathroom clean?
Why do you have to keep your bathroom clean, Caleb?
Because I'm trying to sell my house.
Surprise.
Ask me why.
Why do you need to sell your house, Caleb?
Because I am moving.
Yeah. Where are you moving to, Caleb?
Kansas City.
Okay, and that's like about 300 miles from here.
Actually, that's about right.
Makes Mom sad. I'm excited for him, but I'm kind of sad.
I'm excited. So, As you guys, I've announced this on Instagram. It's not a secret. I'm an elementary school teacher. Currently, I teach 5th grade, but I recently accepted a position in Kansas City, Kansas, because there are 2 Kansas cities, in case you didn't know. Kansas City, Kansas is on the Kansas side. Kansas City, Missouri is on the Missouri side, and Kansas City, Missouri is the Kansas City that you usually think of. But for those of us who don't want to pay income tax to Missouri and Kansas, we live in Kansas City, Kansas, and work in Kansas City, Kansas. Anyway, so I took a 4th grade job at an elementary school in Kansas City, Kansas, where I'll be teaching 4th grade English language arts and social studies. Right now I teach ELA, social studies, science, and math. So it will be a welcome change for me to just focus on those 2 areas. Those 2 areas are the areas that I really loved as a student. And so I'll be excited to teach them. A little sad to not be teaching math. Science, good riddance. So, yeah, the reason that we had to stop podcasting a little bit ago is because we had a social distance showing, where we all kind of stood in a big circle and people looked around the house, but yeah, so that's my big news. I'm moving to Kansas City.
Right.
Soon.
And we've often said Yarn Social is like our local yarn store, which
totally
is 300 miles away. But that will give me even more reason to go to Kansas City and go to Yarn Social.
Yeah, and I keep quoting the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical Oklahoma whenever I think about it, because there's a song called Kansas City that not a lot of people know about. So yeah, I like when I announced it, I said hoping to move where everything is up to date, because that's one of the lyrics in the song. And
Nobody got it, I bet, did they?
nope. No. And it was kind of like, oh, that sounds kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Where but I put it in quotes, so like that implies that it's a quote. It's not coming from me. You should be able to look it up.
So you're gonna sing the song for us?
Nope.
Why not?
Because I don't want to.
Okay.
Look it up. So,
Whatever.
you know I hate that.
I know. I used to do that to him when he was a child. We'd have company and I'd say, oh, Caleb, sing. Or Caleb, play. Oh, he hated me for that. Ugh.
Sure did.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So,
Live and learn.
Yep. So what blabber do you have, my dear?
You know, I really don't have much blabber at all. I've been helping Caleb trying to get ready to sell the house.
Amazing.
And, you know.
Did you know that you have to like wax floors to make them look nice?
To make them shiny. Anyway.
Who knew?
Like I said, it's a little bit bittersweet for me as a mom to see him go. But, yeah, I remember leaving South Dakota and coming to Kansas when I first started teaching, and people think I was a little crazy, and it was the best thing I ever did. And this will be good for him as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like we can kind of compare apples to apples here, because you moved from Colton, South Dakota to Dodge City, Kansas, which is kind of comparable for me moving from Dodge City, Kansas to Kansas City.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm excited. Do we want to talk about COVID?
Same old, same old. Actually, we're just getting ready. Kansas has just announced that we're starting to do some reopening. We're going to do it fairly slowly and do it in some phases. Dodge City is a hard hit area. Yeah. And we just need to be careful and we'll be okay.
Yep. So if you're in Dodge City, restaurants probably aren't your best bet right away. Just saying.
Yeah.
So
it'd be all right.
Anyway, well, that's all that I have.
That's all that I have too. Next time we meet, I'm hoping that I have a finished sweater to show you. I'll maybe even wear it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
You might fucking hate sleeves like I do. It's probably gonna happen. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, wonderful afternoon, whatever time of day it is. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.